Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Budget with Sass. Today's video is a little bit about what debts I have, old ones and current ones. Also my plan on trying to get those cleared and hopefully when I'll be, debt free. And then also I will be included in the description some useful links on things that I used when I was going through my debt clearing journey with a deficit income. So I had more bills coming out than I did money coming in at that point, and what I did to try and resolve the issues I had. Also, just to make sure everyone's aware, I'm no financial advisor whatsoever. So this is just a journey of what I did to get to where I am today, and my circumstances. I'll explain in a little bit what my circumstances were at the time and how obviously everyone has different circumstances, so it might not be brilliant for yourself, but there are some links that could help you with loads of different options. So if you're new to this channel is about my journey of budgeting, the steps I'm taking to get to a financial position where I understand where my money is going, making sure I allocate it to the right areas, and just trying to control my spending so I don't get into any further debt, and also try and clear those debts that I already have. So welcome if you're new, and if you're not new and you're coming back to watch one of my videos, thank you so much. It means so much to me. First of all, let's go through with what my situation was in the first place. So at the time of when I racked up these debts, shall we say, I was quite young. I was a single mum. My partner had just left. All of the credit cards, store cards, all of that stuff was in my name. So I was left with all the debt on maternity leave, and it was just overwhelming. I think I was 22 at the time. Yeah, I was 22 at the time. So it was 10 years ago, 'cause I'm 32 now. And it was overwhelming. I had more bills going out than I had money coming in. I had a 6-month-old baby to pay for and make sure she had everything, make sure I had everything I needed. It was a stressful time. However, I raked it in. I made sure that I got as much information as I possibly could to try and solve some of those issues. So at the time I was living in a housing association house, so it was a low rented house, which was lucky enough, because if it wasn't, then I could have been evicted and things like that. So that really did support me, so that would made it easier for this type of situation. I was on maternity leave, so my pay was very, very low, so I was bumped up with benefits at the time. But it still, I had debts. I had credit cards, I had store cards, I had things on hire purchase in the house, because I moved into a house I had nothing. So yeah, looking back, it wasn't the best decisions I made, but as young and you learn from them, I definitely have learned from them. It brings me to today. So when I first off had these issues, I straight away needed to get the interest frozen, because the interest was stacking up every single month. It was just making it worse. I was receiving letters and so on from creditors. So what I did is I straight away went and called my Citizens Advice Bureau. So here in the UK, if you're not from England, we have this it's not a charity, but it's an organisation that will support you with all different types of issues in your life. It could be legal, parenting, housing, financial, and all sorts. So what they do is just give you advice on how you can overcome them. They put me into the route of Step Change. So Step Change is another organisation which is solely for finance. And what they do is they support you in finding the right financial solution for your situation. So for myself, I got a debt management plan where it was free, because there was debt solution companies out there, but you had to pay them a monthly amount for a debt management plan, which I couldn't afford to be then forking out that. I wanted the money to be able to go to my creditors rather than paying them to do something. I have checked, and I will link them in below, but I have checked that the debt management plan is still there, because like I said, this was 10 years ago now. But Step Change still have debt management plan and various other financial solutions, because obviously with me, it ruined my credit score, but I was okay because I was in a housing association. But if you have got a mortgage and so on, it's not probably the best of ideas. And also if you're privately rented, you need a good credit score and so on, if your circumstances change and you needing to move. So like I said, this was just the circumstances for myself. And so I had a debt management plan, and with that debt management plan, we went through my income, my expenses, worked out how much I had, and like I said, I was in a deficit, so it just worked out that I had more going out than I had coming in. So they supported me in writing letters to each creditor advising of my financial situation with a copy of my income and expenditure on there, to have my interest frozen and to give a minimum payment of £1 per creditor. At that time, I had about £6,500 worth of debt with really high interest on all of them. So I did that, went through that whole process. I will also put a link in there on, if you didn't want to go through these, you didn't want to ring step change, you can just write to your creditor themselves. And if they refuse your interest being frozen, because it doesn't mean that they will, I'll put a link to a letter that I had one that refused, and I used a letter similar to this. I can't find the original one because, like I said, it's 10 years ago. But I have put a letter in if they refuse your interest, which just supports you to try and get that interest frozen. So I will put that link also in the description. If you wanted to try and get your interest frozen yourself, if there's one that was extremely high interest and you're just really struggling, that is a letter that you could also use. So that was a little bit of context on where I got to. It was years ago. I've only been on the income I'm in now realistically since the beginning of this year, hence my budgeting. I just didn't want things to get out of control now that I have a better income. Before that, my income literally paid for my bills. My circumstances didn't really change to the fact that I could pay more to my creditors, which I can obviously a little bit more now. So I'm just going to try and work out for my debt journey how to pay each one of these off, which route is easiest, which route is quickest, and share it with you all. So, and hopefully if anyone's in the same circumstances that I am, that, I was and now am, you can take from this what you think is best. Okay, so I'll just quickly run through it. So I had plenty of other debts, but I've already paid them off. A lot of those sent me letters saying, because the interest was frozen, if you pay 20% of your overall balance, then we'll clear the rest. I did several of those and cleared my debts. It was hard because I would have to borrow money from a family member, but it would work out obviously a lot cheaper. And I'd have to make sacrifices to pay those debts. But they were all done now, and I only have a handful left. So I'm hoping that it won't take me too long. So I'm hoping roughly, in the next 12 to 18 months, I can clear these, as long as my circumstances at home don't change. Because with everything going on at the moment, I don't want to be contributing so much money to this, and then I have less money at home where, I've got bills to pay, I've got things that need to be paid, and it just gets me into a financial hole again, and that's not worth it. So I'll quickly go through my debts. So I've got some old debts. I started writing one. I thought I'll write them with you. So let me just quickly zoom in a bit so you can see it. Okay, so these are all my old debts. So the interest is now frozen, has been frozen for 10 years or so. So the first one is Very, which is like a store card but online. In the brackets, this is the company that Very has sold the debt to. So after a certain amount of years, if the company is not seen to be able to, retrieve the money, they sell it on to another financial institution for, say, half the debt, and then that institution will send you letters and so to collect the debt. So Very is now with Interim. My balance is £992 and I have an agreement of £5 per month, which I pay. So JD Williams, which is now with Lau, I owe £273 and I pay them £1 per month, which is from my original agreement. Then I've got Capital One, who's also with Lau. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. So if I'm saying that wrong, I do apologise. And I have got a debt of £337 and I pay them £1 per month. When I was a student, I got a student grant to help pay for my child's childcare so I could get into class. They royally messed it up for my first 2 years, and they were meant to then, in the first 2 years, take the amount that's owed off your next grant. So I should have ended with not owing anything. About a year after I finished uni, they sent me a letter and said they worked it out incorrectly and I now owe money, which was really stressful because I'd only just gone back to work, paying all the childcare and everything, and I just couldn't afford it because I had all the bills to pay. It was stressful. But so I've got an agreement with those two. So there's 1 and 2 because 1 is one of the years and 2 is the second year that they messed up. So I owe £260 on the first year and then £536 on the second year. I pay them together and it is £10 per month. I do think they take about £8 off the first one and then like £2 something off the second. So because this one was a lot higher, I think it was about 2 years ago now, and that was probably about £500 something. So that one's gone down a lot more than that one. So that is all my old debts. So this is pretty much what I owe. So let's just quickly check how much I owe now. So I owe 992 plus the 273, 337, 260, 536. I now owe £2,398. So £5 a month, then £1, a £1 and £10. And at the moment, I'm paying £17 of that per month, which is getting me absolutely nowhere. Because if we work that out as £2,398 divided by £17, it's going to take me 141 months at that rate to clear it, which is way too much. So, you know, especially if we want to get that down to 18 months, to do that, divided by 18, I need a minimum of, I should have made some more space, but I need a minimum of £133.22 per month to clear. I'll write this little note for me, to clear in 18 months. Okay, which maybe is doable, we will see. But what I'm doing at the moment, instead of making it a monthly amount, I'm saving what I can up until January. As you can see, if you've been watching my cash stuffing videos, and then come January, what I'll do is then have a look at my finances, which is one of the main reasons why I did this, to be able to understand exactly how much I can. Can I do that? If I can only afford £100, how many months will it be until I'm cleared from this debt, and so on. So they are my old ones. However, since then, I have 2 larger debts. Well, I don't call these debts because these are new finances that are for things that I use every day. They're not behind, they're not frozen interest, they're not any of those things. These are things that I use. So I bought a car on finance on PCP, so I do have a balloon payment next year, September. However, I am going to just decide if I'm going to rather give the car back and get a new one. Do I need the car? I'm just going to analyse that at the time. So my Renault car is, just checking my balance, is my balance is £7,530 with the balloon payment of 4,200, I think it is. And then I purchased a new phone, and I got it straight from Barclays because my phone was a bit rubbish, and instead of getting it through the contract because I was having a little bit of issues with my services, I wanted to have the phone separate. So I got my loan through the Apple Finance, which is actually with Barclays. So I still owe, because it's a new phone, still £1,100. So these are my new ones going forward. Now I've missed that bit out, but I'll write in a minute how much it is per month. But they're not really mattered by these ones how much per month, but I'll just put them a bit smaller, and I'll write this out neatly another time. So that's £232 per month, and then this one is £48 per month. Okay, so that's those. Like I said, I'm not behind on these are new, so they're not, to me, they're not a major issue. They're affordable. I wouldn't have got them if they weren't. Okay, so that's pretty much all my debt. So let's just put total debt, so I know, is 2398 plus 7530 plus 1100, which is 11,028, which is £17 a month plus the 232 and the 48. and I'm paying £297 a month. So that's what it is so far. So when you look at it like that, because like I say, I don't really look at these as debts, they're not worries, they're not old or anything like that. Now when you write it all down and you look at it and you think I've got £11,000 that I need to pay, it seems like a lot with everything that's going on in the world. And at the moment my job is a little bit up and down. It's kind of making me a little bit worried. Yeah, it is one of my sole thing is to try and get as much of this down. So like I said, the car itself is nearly finished realistically with the balloon payment, but I can rather try and find a low interest loan, which as interest rates at the moment, that is probably unlikely like next year, but I can see what's going on when we get closer to that time. And my phone is, I think it's 2 years. I think it's 2 years. By 48. Yeah, because I've only had it 2 months. So yeah, it's 2 years, which is fine. That'll be gone. And if anything, if I get some good saving challenges and I save some up, I might try and pay the phone off early. But right now, realistically, I want to try and get these down. So that's really my debt confession, shall we say. And I'm going to try my hardest to do this. It's just, I really need to get this in my head ready for January, where Christmas and things are over and I can really figure out how I'm going to allocate money to my debts. But like I said, I am no financial advisor, so anything that I've said about step change, Citizens Advice Bureau, or having your interest frozen, if you've been refused to have your interest frozen, these are just links that I used in the past. These are things that really helped me when I was in a deficit income situation, and everyone's circumstances are completely different. But if you're in the UK and you know you're struggling of any kind and you can cash budget as much as you like, however, if you don't have the income and you have already scraped back on every possible thing, this is the way I did it is another route. So thank you all for joining me, and I will get a bit more open. I will continue my debt journey and share it with you while I do my cash stuffing, and really evaluate next year when I start to plan my full year goals. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do now. Is this year was just about trying to figure out how I do all of this. Then next year, coming into January, I'm going to give myself some proper financial goals, a percentage of this to be down, how I'm going to get there, and what sacrifices I possibly can make to make sure I achieve them. So thank you all for coming, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, this is something you like, please subscribe. Any comments, any questions you have, then please feel free to pop them in the comments box, and I will see you on my next cash stuffing. Thank you. Bye.